So, good morning, everybody. So, within the business day, we are glad to have with us Albert Esplugas. Albert has been the general manager of the Microsoft Innovation Center in Catalonia since 2006. This center helps organizations to innovate their business process through the use of new technologies which empower their workers. Albert is also an associate professor in ESADE Business School, and prior to this, Albert held other positions related with sales and new technologies in Microsoft and in other companies such as Over the Net, Ibernet Telematica, Method Software, and Apple Computer. So without much delay, ladies and gentlemen, join me welcoming Albert Esplugas.
Thank you very much. Is the microphone working? Can you hear me all around? Thank you. Well, good morning, and thank you for the organization to invite me. It's a pleasure to be there. I'm going to talk today about what we call the new world of work, and hope it's an interesting presentation, and you will participate at the end making some questions. Well, it's been a decade. All the people from technology companies, when they are doing presentations, they are always saying the world is changing. A lot of trends and changes are coming, so please be aware because the world is changing. I think that today, 2011, we should say that the world has already changed. And I think this is an interesting message for companies, because normally if companies you say the world is going to change, normally small and medium companies wait until that change happens. And I prefer to say that the change has already occurred. So there's an interesting book from Peter Hinson calling what he calls the new normal, saying that the new IT right now is already normal, so we are already jumped in this digital world. The question is, how well we swim? Are we going to swim? Are we going to drown? How well we swim in this digital world, because we are already in this digital world, we have already jumped. Some big changes that have already occurred in the world. The first one is evident, we are in a global world. This means that all companies compete in a global world and compete with other companies from other countries and with other people and other talent outside your own country. We are also in a connected world. Probably this is something not 100%, but we could say that we have everywhere connectivity, and that from any point and with any device we can access the internet, we can access applications, we can work from anywhere. It's also a very mobile world, because it's a global world, because of this internet connectivity, we can work from everywhere. In 2014, 50% of the devices from companies will be smartphones. There will be a huge increase in number of smartphones worldwide and a huge increase in traffic from those smartphones. And with a smartphone in my pocket, I can receive mails, I can access the internet, I can access Twitter, I can share documents, I can review those documents. So I will be able to work from anywhere, from those smartphones as well as netbooks and other devices. So the time schedule from 9 to 5 is going to disappear. We are in a global world. We work 24/7. We work from home. We work where we are traveling. We work at the office. And this will suppose a big challenge of the work-life balance between work and personal life. And our workers will ask us for more flexibility, because they will have to have some meetings perhaps at night. They will want in the morning to do their personal activities, because it won't be possible to do everything from 9 to 5 or from 9 to 2 and 4 to 7 if we talk here in Spain. It's a world based on talent. We are on a talent-based economy. Talent is the main asset of any company. And this is something that business managers have to believe in, because sometimes we always say we are in a talent world, but at the end we treat employees the old way we used to treat them, not on a talent world. So we need to attract this talent. This talent could be perhaps not in the same country or the same city where your company is installed, perhaps it's outside, but you can integrate this talent in your company by the use of technology, and you have to retain that talent, and you have to share this talent, and you have to believe in that talent. And working on a talent world means working based on results, not working because I'm from 9 to 5 and I've worked 8 hours, but because I've done a lot of goals that were my goals, my personal goals, and I've driven by results. And this is difficult for companies to change their minds in the way they manage people, not managing them by time, but managing them by results. And in a world managed by results, probably I'm going to work for more than one company. At the end, the company is interested in the results I get. It doesn't matter if I take 1 year, 6 months, 1 month, or perhaps 1 hour to get that result. The interest is the result. I'm paid for this result. So at the end, I could be working for different companies by the use of technologies, companies perhaps in different cities, and giving my talent to those companies and sharing this talent within those companies and working with other people in that companies all around the globe. Today it's impossible to do anything alone, so personal productivity is important, yes, but it's more important the work group productivity. And that's a challenge for all the companies, because at the end we know perfectly how to work alone, sometimes by the use of technology, but it's more complex to work in a group. And if for working in that group we mean traveling and getting around a table and getting on a same meeting room, it will be a very high cost. So we will need to introduce inside organizations the use of technologies, and all the people in those companies being able to use efficiently that technology to work in groups that sometimes are from people that do know each other. So it's a group created very spontaneously for solving a specific problem from people inside the company and outside the company that will work to solve a specific problem during 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, and then will dissolve to create a new one. Gartner says that all those companies that are more agile in the creation of those groups and more effective in the way they collaborate will be more competitive than the other ones that used to work in a work group in a traditional way. This means evidently established groups from people that already know each other and that meet in a specific room. It's a world also where a new workforce enters in companies, and these are the digital natives, people that born with the technology in this digital world, that know perfectly all those technologies and that use them for studying and for their personal life. And imagine that today you go to a company and say, instead of giving you a computer, they say, here is your typewriter. Evidently, that would not be attracting in that company. I won't work in that company. I would prefer to go to a company that use better technology the same way those digital natives, when they go to the organizations, are supposed to have instant messaging, web conferencing, collaboration tools, networks, social networks inside the organization, ways of knowledge management, etc. For breaking a little bit the ice, let me show you a small video of what could happen, not right now, but yes, 10 years ago. Has a sound, but seems not to sound. Oh. Just a little bit of fun because of the way that we saw the technology 10 years ago or 15 years ago, the way we see technology right now in the organizations. Also, another big change that has happened is social networks, social media. Each minute, 24 hours of video is uploaded to YouTube. The third biggest country in the world is Facebook. 600 million people in Facebook. It's the third largest country in the world. 150 million people in LinkedIn. 300 million people in Messenger, 70 million people in Twitter, and it's growing. And it's a kind of population that is related one to each other because of a personal relation or because they are colleagues in jobs or they share the same interest. We no longer have individuals accessing the internet. We have people that have specific patterns of relations between them that are accessing. We believe more in the opinion of those peoples belonging to the same social network as we do than advertising in television or any other kind of information. We believe in this information more than the information which is published on the corporate website of any organization. So the use of social networks to extend the reach of companies outside the own company, for accessing knowledge, for accessing talent, for sharing ideas, for getting to the consumers and understanding what they need and what our organization could give them to sell more. It's also another big change is the concept of software as a service. We are used to go to buy a hardware, buy a software, install this software, have someone to maintain that software installed in my company, and this is my email server or my collaboration server. Right now, it's possible to have all this software, and in the future, all the software will be rent, not bought. And this means that if I want to start on Monday a new company, I can start on Monday a new company with the same software that right now the largest companies in the world are using, and with the same power of technology. And this means that I will have to train my employees to use that technology because I'm going to pay heavily for it. It has a lot of advantage. You don't have to invest anything, you only rent. And it has also some challenges because it's a software that's always updated. It's always adapted to the reality of the world where we are using it, and this means that we will have to invest more in training and in change management, so people is going to use this technology more efficiently. We can no longer say, okay, this is a new version, and get the manuals and read them, because this version is going to change continuously, and there's no longer 3 years or 5 years change of versions. It's a constant updating of that versions and new possibilities of this technology. Right now it's very easy. We can access this software as a service from everywhere. We have all the tools that we need for productivity inside any organization, and it's going to make that an employee of the smallest company has the same tools as the biggest one company and their employees. A lot of new devices have appeared. We have a device for any kind of experience, any kind of situation. Long time ago, we only had some computers on the desk computers. Right now we have laptops, we have tablets, we have iPads, we have smartphones, and we have a lot of different devices and more that will come to cover all the different situations in mobility, or perhaps kind of relation with the use of technology in different kind of situations. We also have the concept of IT consumerization. Right now it's possible that you have a better computer at home than the one that you have at work. Some years ago that was completely different. You get the first computer at the office and then you bought it at home. Right now you have better devices at home. And this is a challenge for companies because the employees want to use a device that they know perfectly, that they have bought, that they have decided to use because they are very easy to use and they are very productive with that tool, and this is an opportunity for companies to leverage that power, and also a challenge because of security reasons. But in the future, probably you won't have a computer at the office. You will be using your own device for your work because you select the kind of device that better suits your needs and that you are more comfortable with it. And another big technology that has already occurred is unified communications. This is an old technology, but right now it's mature enough, and a lot of companies are using it. And unified communications lets me work from everywhere because I can access all my colleagues, or my employees, or my customers by phone, by instant messaging, by video conferencing, sharing applications, sharing documents, and collaborating. It doesn't matter where am I can have access to all of them. So unified communications is also a big change in the technology inside organizations. How does the new world of work look? Well, the new world of work is based on what we call flexible working. And flexible working means, well, working at any time and anywhere. This means that the employee has the choice to select when he's going to work and from where he's going to work. This is the maximum flexible working goal. At the end, is more adapted to the knowledge-based economy, because probably I prefer to work in the morning because I'm more innovative in the morning, I'm more clever in the morning. Perhaps I don't want to work in the afternoon because I'm less creative. So at the end, we are going to adapt to people use of its own time and its own biorhythms to adapt to that kind of, and then also by the space, because probably that person has working in that company takes 1 hour coming from his home to the office and 1 hour coming back to home, 2 hours lost, and probably if I give him flexible working and flexible, the possibility to work from home, or perhaps to work from a closer office from his home than the main one, this person is going to be more productive, is going to lose less time, is going to consume less energy, and we are going to have company cost reduction and also personal cost reduction. Some of the benefits from flexible working is evidently increasing productivity because we don't lose time moving from the office to home. Also because we adapt the work to the time frame where the employee wants to do that job. Also cost reduction because of facility management. If you go to any company, 30% of the desks are are free. There's nobody sitting in those desks. And other 30%, there's someone, but it's not sitting on the desk. It's probably in a meeting or probably in having a coffee with other colleagues. So a lot of companies have the opportunity to reduce more or less 50% of their space, their facility space, and that will imply a lot of cost reduction, and also the transformation of that space, not used for desks, but used for added value space. And these meetings, this means brainstorming meetings, this means a lot of different kind of space, because employees, when they go to the office, they don't go to sit to their own desk, they go to share ideas, to share a specific project with others. So they want a different kind of spaces. Also employee satisfaction, because at the end it allows a better work-life balance. I decide, because I'm driven by results when I work and from where I work more efficiently. And because at night probably I will have a meeting with someone in the States, I would like in the morning to do something that I should do in my personal life. So I will have the choice to choose when to work and where to work. Also because of recruitment and retention of talent, because talent people prefer to have that flexible working, perhaps better than having more money in their salary. It's, we perceive as a higher value that kind of flexible working instead of salary. And also because I can contract someone who's outside the city, perhaps he's working 100 kilometers from the main office. This could be probably impossible if that person should move every day to the office, but if he can work perhaps 2, 3 or 4 days from home, I would probably be able to work with that employee that has so much talent. Also legislation compliance, the European Union is pushing this kind of work inside different countries and with different legislations, because it knows that is a better way to give the needs of that knowledge economy. Also business protection, because sometimes you get any kind of airport problems, or like 2 weeks ago with the volcano problems, and that means that companies that practice flexible working and people are able to work from home are less sensible of those accidents, of those problems of communications or whatever. And also more sustainable companies, because at the end it means less travels and less energy consumption. This is the level of flexible working in the European Union. As you see, Germany is on the top with more or less 50%. This means that 50% of employees can choose or the time they work with a kind of flexibility, evidently perhaps not during night and the others during day, but in a flexible time frame, and or they can choose where to work, 1 day, 2 days or more. In the European is 27, I think the average is 27. Spain right now it is 8 and 9% of flexible working, so there's a long opportunity there. When you want to change the way we work and install flexible working, you have to work on 3 pillars, and those pillars are technology, spaces and people. If you forget one of them, it won't work, so you have to work on the 3 pillars. I'm going to talk a little bit about spaces. Well, new kind of spaces. Probably someone wants to go to the office, but to work alone, because at home he hasn't the space or enough silence to work. So perhaps he wants to go to the office, but he wants to be alone working in a personal space. Perhaps he wants to go to the office to share with others and have a video conferencing and share ideas or documents or a presentation. Perhaps he wants to go to have informal meetings in spaces like the one on the top, the mixer. When he shares with his laptop an idea with another person, it's not a formal meeting, it's a more informal meeting. Perhaps we have space in our office because someone is coming to visit us and he asks us for having 1 hour, 2 hours somewhere to sit because he wants to work and because he doesn't want to go back to his office and then back to another customer has to visit. So he wants space to sit down, to connect his computer, to connect to the internet and work from there. Sometimes you need some close workspaces because you have to have a video conference, a personal video conference, and you don't want to disturb people around you, so you get your laptop, you move to this close workspace, and you have your video conferencing or your audio conferencing with someone outside the company. Or sometimes you need specific spaces for thinking, sharing, and creating. And those are completely different spaces, more comfortable, more in the way you see in these photographs, to share ideas. So companies will transform their spaces from traditional desks to more added value spaces, and probably less desks, because at the end people are always moving from customers or at home or working outside the own company. The technology pillar and the value of this technology. First, I'm going to share this slide. I like very much this slide. This is the World Economic Forum, which each year has two kind of different benchmarks. The one on the left is the Global Competitiveness Index. It's about 50 different values that are measured in each country, and that set up which is the index of competitiveness. The other one is what is called the technological readiness. This doesn't mean the investment in technology. It's how the country in that case, or the organization, if we look at organizations, is able to use technology in an efficient way so that it impacts in its business and its competitiveness. If you use those different benchmarks and you draw this graph, you have a correlation between the countries that are more technological ready are more competitive. The countries that are less technological ready are less competitive. Those are the 25 on the right. Spain is not right there because Spain that year was in 34, so it's in some kind in the middle. It's not so important to see who's on the top, who's on the bottom. I think that the interesting is the demonstration that these graphs between the relation between the technological readiness and competitiveness. I see IT as the nervous system of organizations. I see IT also as a nervous system of the world. But let's talk first at the organizational level. IT connects people, data, and processes. IT makes that if the company makes a decision to go to the right, all the company very fast moves to the right. IT makes that if someone in a warehouse detects a problem, he can share that information to the rest of the organization. So, well, I think it's a good way to compare in the nervous system to the IT system inside the organizations. And inside any organizations, we have what we call the structured process. This is billing, manufacturing, cash management, database, very transactional, very structured process. 10 years ago, that was a very competitive point from any organization. If I have an enterprise resource planning solution, I'm more competitive than the other company because I have better structured process. Right now, all the companies have those structured process solved. They have their enterprise resource planning solutions. I have one, the other company also have the same one, probably sold by the same software company and sold by the same partner and implementing the same processes. So it's very difficult to differentiate by the structured process. The way we could differentiate from the other companies is what we call the instructor process. In those instructor processes, people world is communication, collaboration, innovation, it's documents, it's meetings, it's working where we are traveling, so it's teleworking, it's making decisions, it's mobility. All this unstructured world is the information worker world. It's where today we can differentiate from other companies. It's the way we can compete more efficiently to other companies by the use of efficient technology. If we go to any organization and look at this unstructured world and make some surveys, and this is something that we do in the Innovation Center when we try to help companies, the first we do is profiling those organizations. And you will get more or less these kind of profiles. Very executives on the right, 99% of their time doing those unstructured activities, perhaps 90%, 75%, 50%, but it's a lot of time inside these organizations. With this graph, we want to share with the organizations which is the amount of time spent on those unstructured world. And basically made of meetings, so making the meeting request, going to the meeting, celebrating the meeting, and actions after the meeting, documents, creating, modifying, making some comments on those documents, analysis, taking decisions, and then communication, basically the use of email. And if we map this time with the cost of those people in the salary and also of their value, because at the end every employee costs a salary but also gives a value to the organization, and we add the cost and the value, we get more or less those numbers. It doesn't matter which are the exactly numbers because it will depend very on the country, on the company, on the kind of company that we are working with, but at the end gaining half an hour or 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week will impact a lot in the results of that company on the economic impact. And we want to share this with these organizations because I understand they have a great opportunity to increase their productivity by going to this area in that unstructured world inside their organizations. How does the unstructured world look inside any organization right now? Well, the unstructured world right now is email. This is the main tool of any information worker worldwide. And we have too many mails. Perhaps 10 years ago we received 1 mail a week or 2 mails a week. Right now we receive 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. I've been in meetings with someone 300 mails a day. Evidently more than 50 or 60 mails a day, it's impossible to do anything else than reading this mail. And the mail is the main tool for the information worker. Some time ago it was a very productive tool. Right now it's probably a very unproductive tool because we use and abuse of email. I think that this picture explains very well that probably if someday the email stops, first is a very critical situation. All the companies stopped. It's more a strategic application inside the organization. Second, if the mail still continues, that doesn't work, probably we go to have a little snack outside the company. And when we come back, if the mail doesn't work, probably this day would be the more productive day because we are going to do all those things that the mail normally doesn't allow us to do. Because the mail is constantly stopping us from doing large things and doing also only small activities based on that mail. We do too many trouble because we perceive work as somewhere where we have to go, or because someone said one day, oh, let's sit and talk about that. And that means let's make a meeting, let's lose 1 week, let's go to the meeting and let's collaborate in that meeting. A lot of meetings. And at the end, we have what we call the asynchronous organizations. Organizations that are moved by the email, and that when someone comes back from a travel and sends an email, then some activities begin to happen, and then it's a kind of asynchronous movement inside that organization. We have a lot of dispersed information. A lot of information in the hard drive of the users. There are some studies that say that organizations have more than 80% of their information in the hard drive of the laptops or the desks of the desktop computers. This means that this information, we cannot share it to other employees. If another person needs that information, it's impossible to find. Sometimes it's impossible by our own to find this information in our own computer. And then that's the thing that I always heard when I go to any company as well, the technology, we only use the 10%. In a talent world, in a knowledge society, it's impossible to say that the main tool in this is that's the synapses of the nervous system of any organization. If we only use the 10% of that tool, we are losing a lot of opportunity. First, we are paying for 100%. So let's see in the 90% what could be the opportunities in my organization to increase productivity. If I'm driving on a highway and I'm only using a 10% of my car, I have a problem. It's the same way when I'm working in a company in the information worker world and I'm only using a 10% of my tool, I also have a big problem. And evidently, if I only use the 10%, it's difficult to swim only using a 10% of the body. Which are some technologies that are essential, or some tools that are essential in the new world of work? Well, first, the local power. I have my own computer, and that computer has a lot of power, and if I'm trained and someone helps me the change management to use efficiently this tool, I'm going to be more productive. Second is presence, because people going to work from home or from other office, I need that information, the presence information, because if we all meet in the office, presence is very easy to see, but if we are working from remote spaces, it will be more difficult. So presence is strategic, some kind of instant messaging tools that allows me to see who's connected, who's not connected, who's available, who's not available, because I'm at home and I need to collaborate with someone and I see who's available, who's not available. And not only internal, but also external, because at the end, collaboration happens inside companies, but also outside companies, so I need to have also presence of information of people I work with outside my company. I need instant messaging, because I need to break with the asynchronous email, because sometimes it's better to send an instant message than sending 10 emails of someone I don't know if he's present or he's not present, he's going to receive that mail, he's not going to receive that mail. We use too much emails and copy too much people and make too much complex communications through email, and sometimes it's easier to take the phone and make a call or to use the instant messaging and make a more real-time communication. I see someone, hello, how are you? And let's have a video conference, let's have an audio conference, let's share a desktop. I need also unified communications, something that allows me today to work from here in Tarragona and receive all my mails, receive my instant messaging, receive my telephone calls, and all in my computer, and I can answer them from here and make calls from my computer and communicate with others with my computer. Also, online meetings, a way to do a meeting that does not require to move to a meeting room, and we can share a document, share a presentation, share an offer to a customer, with the customer, with other people inside the organization, and sharing that content. So we don't need to, all the meetings go to that meeting. Evidently, it's important, the personal relation, and perhaps in a project we have 5 meetings, and the third, and the last one will be a present meeting with people going to the same room, but perhaps the second and the fourth could be an online meetings. At the end, normally they are more efficient than presential meetings, because at the end we are all sitting on our computer with our headphones, participating in the meeting with some specific agenda.